Yeah, I was just going to ask like two main questions there. Okay, so there's the EU distribution, because I think your clothes do very well in the EU, do very well in Ireland.
Are
young
you-
people?
Are you blowing smoke up my ass or what? I don't see anyone. I don't see anyone in this country. I mean,
Do you know what it is? I think it's just because it's hard to get it over here.
It's
I
very
think
hard
there's
to
the
get.
idea that if it's in America, it's going to take ages to get over here.
yeah, I want to break down that barrier because like I understand. First off, like all the international supporters that we've ever had with Worker have such a soft place in my heart because I know it takes one, it takes longer, and it's so damn expensive.
Yeah.
To like get shit over here where like the shipping cost and taxes or VAT might be like half or like the full price of the basket, right? So yeah, no, we're switching our fulfillment methods to be able to charge like 10, 15 pound euro, like around that price point for like a tee and then like 15 for a hoodie. Like, and especially when the hoodie is like heavy to ship as well, it costs more as well. But like we're gonna take a little bit of profits out of our end. Like so for example, like our hoodie price is like $128 right now. We'll sacrifice like, let's say it costs us like 30 to ship. We'll just charge 15 flat fee and then take 15 of the extra cost from our profit end just so we can get the distribution out there.
Brother, even the way you're talking about it now, there's so many things to... You think, okay, I'm going to have a clothing company, it's just going to be cool, I'm going to have cool clothes and everyone's going to wear them. Brother, when you're talking about this stuff, I'm like, I would never even have considered these ideas.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things where like when you really get into it, well, I think first off, the idea of having a clothing brand is very romantic, right? They think, oh, we're gonna make clothes, people are gonna buy them, it's gonna be great, we're gonna run a 6-7 figure business, right? When you get into it, it's called the Dunning-Kruger curve, where you realize how much as you learn more, you realize how much you don't know. So you initially reach Mount Stupidity when you realize you learn some things, but then you drop into the Valley of Despair when you realize how much you don't actually know, and you're like, oh shit, like, am I actually going to do this or not? And that's where you bottom out and kind of hit the slope of enlightenment right here, where as you learn more, you still realize how much you don't know, but you gain a bit of confidence in your approach. So yeah, I mean, we're definitely in that. We've come out of that slope where we realize what essentially the game is, how to win the game, how it needs to be done. And there's a lot of preconceived notions that people have about clothes, about fashion and fitness and like the space in general, where they don't really know because they're not really in it. And like once you're in it and once you really understand, that's when like you can have like a profitable business, you know. Some people, like bigger brands, you know, they might be able to survive based off of dropping 1 or 2 times a year and having 2 different drops of like a variety of like 30 to 50 different pieces, right? Some brands are able to survive off of having drops where they just sell out constantly and like the cash flows from that because they have that much of a massive audience to carry their operating expenses during the off season. They can afford to only just have drops of like small, whatever they consider a small stock allocation, sell out, and that's what carries them. One of the critiques I've heard of workers that like we just drop too frequently, which apparently like dropping every 4 to 6 weeks is too frequent. It just doesn't really make sense because like the people that say that, they don't understand that like you need to have recurring cash flows in a business to keep it healthy. And if you're out of stock 75% of the year, you're not gonna have a business one day. You know what I'm saying? So it's coming to an understanding of different aspects and how to operate fashion brand at like a higher level. And you know, we're still learning every day. I look at the decisions I made 1, 2, 3, 6 months ago and I think to myself, how could I have been so stupid? But as long as you're constantly evolving and constantly learning every single day and just understanding how much you don't know and keeping that role or like that mentality of constantly being a student of the game, that's how you're able to evolve with time.
What made you want to get into fashion? Like that's like we're talking about all this intricate details that are involved in the running of the business.
So much about.
But what made you want to go down that route? Like what made you take on that big challenge?
Yeah, well, I think it all started. I developed an affinity to fashion when I was in early high school. And I was working at like a produce store, and I realized I didn't want to do that anymore. Like standing behind a counter for 8 hours a day, that shit sucks. Talking to people I don't want to talk to, like it's terrible. So that was when there was a kid in my high school who was reselling Supreme at the time, and that's when Supreme's brand equity were at all-time highs. And that's when I got into like, okay, I'll buy this for $50, $75, flip it for like $120, $150, right? And it was when Supreme season ended, because they'll do like a fall, winter, and then a spring, summer collection, and then they'll have like a off season like preparation mode in between. And that was when I started flipping shoes, and I just slowly transitioned into shoes, and I was using Shopify bots to buy and sell shoes, and then Supreme came back around, and then I would buy that, and then other limited edition clothings and collaborations and things like that. So like from mid high school into like college, I always had a natural gravitation towards shoes, clothing, things of that nature. Yeah. And it kind of tapered off a little bit towards the middle of college, because I went to college for 3 years, because it was more, I fixated more towards like crypto and just powerlifting and just focusing on my sponsors, focusing on like just posting things of that. Yeah. And so reselling kind of died down, but I still always had nice clothes that I like to wear. I like to present myself a certain way. And that was when like reselling kind of died down. That was when sponsorships kind of came along with
they filled that gap,
with fitness. Yeah. So, and then that was when I was presented with my first offer during my junior year of college, the summer going into senior year, to work for an internship with Get Better Today, that one company. Yeah. And it was during my year and like a quarter at that brand where I learned the ropes of e-com, what goes into like the design, the marketing, the rollout, just the back end logistics, everything. And that was when I like learned how actually it's done. And then when things fell out from the floor with that situation was when I came to myself and I was like, damn, like, I'm either, am I going to go back to school and just like move back home? And like, ego is a very interesting thing where I think ego can bring out the best, but also the worst in people, depending on just the individual and their circumstance and their environment and who they're around, right? There's been times in my life where my ego, I know, has brought out the worst in me or ugly sides of me, which I'm not proud of, but there's been times in my life, specifically with worker, where my ego brought out the best in me, where I wasn't okay with just moving back home and admitting defeat. Like if I had left, I moved across the country, left my entire family to go, and I put all my eggs in one basket into one company, and it didn't end up working out, and that's okay. I'm not gonna cry about it, but like now it's time to like you're in that apartment across the country in that room by yourself. What are you gonna do now? And that was where the inspiration of worker came to be. I know the game. I know how it's done. I saw things that I did like. I saw things that I didn't like. Let's put everything together. Let's create a group of killers that really want to do this shit, and let's do it the right way. And that's what worker's been.
Holy shit, brother!
Man, the passion.
You cooked on that one, man.
Yeah.
But because I'm just speaking from the heart, dude. Like. You can't fake this shit. No. You know what I mean? Like it's real deal adversity or real world implications where it's like what I do in these coming years right now, how I handle myself, how I operate, how I spend the time during my days, which adds up to the week, which adds up to the month, to the year. Stacking those small wins or stacking those moments of time in which you're doing not necessarily what is the most rewarding in the short term, but always having that long-term aspect, that 1 to 2 year outlook, that 3 to 5, 5 to 10 year outlook, where it's where do I want to be? How do I reverse engineer myself back to that? So I'm just like constantly thinking like, whenever I have a rollout, I try to maintain as present as possible and really try to enjoy it for what it is. But I just can't help myself where I'm always thinking like, okay, what am I doing next month? What am I doing at the end of this year? What are our designs going to look like? And what is the company going to look like a year from now? You know? So like this whole trip, I'm super grateful to be here. And there was just a lot of uphill battles that we fought in regards to for God's sake, they decided that it would be a good idea for it to snow for the first time in 5 years in Houston, Texas. Insane. And it was just, man, it was from that to having our flights delayed to having to move the event initially, like to having like less time to actually shoot in the city of London to the point where like we shot from like 3 p.m. to 11 o'clock at night, and then I got to handle things with my virtual assistant because he's not tracking things in the spreadsheet correctly, and then I got to stay up from 11 a.m. to 4 a.m. and then I have to get up at 4:45 so that we can make it to the studio and be there at 6 a.m. to 11 a.m. and then after that go all the way back to the other side of London get all of our shit when everyone's like falling asleep in the Uber, can't stay awake at breakfast, getting on the train and fucking off 3 hours over here to Sheffield now and like doing all this. It's just a lot, you know, and like time moves like quickly, and it's this whole journey has been like a blur, you know, but it's looking like the rollout is going to tie together very nicely, and everything's gonna go according to plan, and we're gonna have an amazing drop. But yeah, it's been a roller coaster for sure.
There's so many avenues to branch off from these that I'm interested in. Yeah. In general, how you said this trip has been like a roller coaster. Has there been any highlights? Has there been anything that was particularly enjoyable? This is literally just like a couple hours after Sheffield itself has finished.
Highlights, I think it's just, I'm not gonna lie, this trip has been a shit show. Like I'm trying to put it nicely. It's been a shit show. Yeah. But when I really zoom out and when I really think about it, just to even have the opportunity to travel across the world and pay for all the people who are working for the company to come out and build something together, even though it might be hellish in the short term and that there's things where it's just a pain in the ass and, you know, spirits can be low at times, zooming out and just even having the opportunity to do that is a highlight in itself. Being able to come out and see people across the world that I never see because of like you and like both y'all, and then just other supporters who buy the brand or don't buy the brand, they just are familiar with my content. That's a blessing in itself, you know? A lot of people don't get the chance to experience that or even be in the position where they can even take a company to the level, and I don't think workers accomplish shit yet, but like even to take it to where I've done so far in the 6 to 7 months of operation, I'm grateful for that as well.
Man, I can feel the passion, like, and you know what I mean by feel, like it's like visceral when someone is passionate about something, and it's lovely. It's like, it makes any conversation interesting with someone. Someone could be telling you something about something you actually thought you didn't even like, and yet the passion is infectious.
Man, we recorded with Reagan yesterday, and he said there was a time he was signing an SPD belt, and it was for like a young kid, and the dad asked, "Hey, could you like write a message on this, please, just something that he can like remember." And he said, "Let passion lead the way." Oh, brother, we're letting passion lead the way right here.
That's real, because you can't fake passion, and time tells all. So if you're not really passionate about what you're doing, it'll transpire in the way that is the way it's perceived, but the way it manifests itself. You know, like if I wasn't passionate about the shit, Worker would not be where it is now. You know, and like you have to be passionate about what you're doing. People try to wear multiple different hats, but I really think it's best to really consolidate your vision and your efforts and your energy to focusing on what's most important to you and just putting your all into that.
So we mentioned a little bit about the aspirations in the future and what will it look like in a year's time? What will the designs be like in a year's time? What is the vision? Where would you like to take it in a year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years?
Yeah, certain things I like to vocalize, but certain things I don't, because of the fact that I just feel when you share your plans or your visions or share your goals or aspirations out loud, whether that be even with friends or family or publicly, there's two points of views. One point of view is, okay, I'm vocalizing it now, so now I have to do it or else I look stupid, right? But I like to adopt the mindset where the more you speak on certain things, the less likely it is going to happen. And the reason for that is because when you talk about where you want to take things or what you want to do or certain numbers you want to hit, as you talk about things, it feels really good to talk about, right? And the reason it feels really good to talk about it is because your brain is releasing that dopamine as you're kind of pushing that out into the atmosphere, where subconsciously your brain is slowly getting tricked into thinking as to aspects of that have kind of already happened when in reality they haven't. So like certain goals or certain aspirations, like certain figures or like milestones I want to reach, like levels of status or like this many employees or this size of a warehouse or things like that, I don't even like to vocalize that because I think the more and more I speak on them, the less likely it's going to happen.
I have had that. It's like I've had that as a thought or a feeling, but I've never had it articulated like that. That is,
that's why I think really super important things. Just keep everything's energy. Energy can't be created nor destroyed, only transferred. I feel it's best to keep that energy inside of you.
Do you read a lot of books? Do you consume anything? Like you're so well, like verbalized. You're so.
I appreciate that. I think I'm trying to work on that because I think the way I talk or the way I speak sometimes it makes me feel, or it makes me come off as stupid actually. So I've been trying to actually do a lot of reading, I like audiobooks because I think my ADHD, it doesn't allow me to just sit down and just solely read a book and just like that's it. I need some sort of other stimulus. So what I really like to do is I'll listen to an audiobook if I'm driving. And I try to only listen to music unless I'm like in the gym, so I can mentally switch into that mode. But if I'm working or if I'm in the house, I usually don't like to listen to music because I just get stimmed out. And on top of that, I feel like it's best to only save that for a certain occasion where you need to switch out of it. And exactly. Where I can't actively listen to music and like fill out a spreadsheet or create like a marketing campaign at the same time. I can't do it. If it's something where I need to put myself in the creative zone, perhaps, but when I'm actually doing the work or like doing the hard shit that's gonna move the needle forward, not so much. Like it might be there, but I'm not listening or I'm not soaking in any of that stuff. So usually I'm not gonna play an audiobook while I do that stuff either. Usually what I'll do is I'll just put on noise canceling headphones and blast brown noise in my ear or like a white noise. And I'll do that when I sleep or when I work and just try to limit as much as I'm consuming. I try to not scroll on social media at all. I think I muted like 90 to 95% of the people that I follow because I need to like limit what is being input or what I'm like perceiving so that I can like keep my eye on the ball. So like if it's not someone who like is like a friend of mine or like I aspire to be like in some form or fashion or like a company that I take inspiration from, I try not to like look at it at all. So I'll just mute it. And if I feel like I'm kind of slipping off that path, I'll just delete social media and re-download it when I need to post and then delete it again.
Brother, you're speaking our language. Everything that we're talking about here has been like really big themes in all of the recent chats and conversations that we've had. It's really cool. It's almost like a rewarding feeling having someone of your position expressing those same ideas.
Well, I appreciate that. I think the better word would be reassuring. It's reassuring to think that, right? Where it's like when I see people that I look up to in one aspect and I see them hear or say something where it resonates with me personally, it's like, okay, like I'm on the right path, you know? So yeah, I mean, it's really just a lot of audiobooks.
Are there any in particular?
I like J.D. Rockefeller's 38 Letters to His Son. I like that. It talks a lot about, it just talks a lot about business and the Rockefellers, what they were able to build with their oil empire within the United States. There's a lot of themes that are presented back then which still hold up today, you know, and it's really a timeless book that still holds weight, and I think more people should read it. The 48 Laws of Power, that's a really good one as well. I recommend everyone reads that. There's just like all the information that you would ever need out there, it's already in a book. It's already in a book. Whether you're going to read it, whether you're going to listen to it in an audiobook, or whether you're going to read it and highlight it and annotate and have the audio and have the headphones on and listen to it at the same time to just max, like, immerse yourself, right? You can do whatever. It just works for you. It's just people are always just looking for the shortcut or the short answer. And I don't want to come across as a person where it's like, oh, read more books, yada, yada, yada. But like anything that you really need, it really is already out there. You just need to know where to look. You're obviously not going to make it looking up how to get rich quick or like how to make money quick or how to do this within a short amount of time, because the way the world has been resolved is, or like curated towards the common person, is it's so much about instant gratification now, where it's, oh, okay, like, figure out how to like create a business that's like 7 figures in 2-3 months, or like, oh, okay, download Robinhood or Coinbase and make $1 million tomorrow, invest all your profits. It's not enough about self-development, and even some of the self-development is just self-gratifying porn out there where it's not of actual value. It just makes you feel good or makes you feel like you're on the right path. And that's why I'm even slow to develop or slow to consume self-help content in itself, because I feel it's a slippery slope, and it's an industry where, just like the medical industry, people try to sell you drugs or sell you a concept to keep you coming back, to keep you relying upon them. So yeah, I just really think books are the answer.
Man,
we keep having these experiences where the things we talk about in private, we end up talking to someone who we relate to in some capacity,
we look up to,
and they say the exact same things. We're like we're realizing about the world and about life. It's,
I mean, it just tells you that you guys are on the right path, and you just have to keep your foot on the gas. The only thing that'll stop you, and this is regardless of whatever you're in, the only thing that'll stop you is if you give up or your inability to learn. it doesn't matter in life, regarding what you do, whether it's in the gym, in the business, in the podcast, in clothing, in fashion, in finance, whatever. It doesn't matter how many times you fail. You just need to figure out exactly what you're doing wrong and then just figure it the fuck out and be better for the future. You know, like I'm gonna make countless mistakes. I've made countless mistakes to this point. As long as you have the ability or the mindset where it's okay, realize what you do wrong, figure out how to do it the right way, and try to move the needle forward a little bit every time. Get a little bit better every single time you do it. It's the people that get discouraged or they give up their belief, where they think, oh, like I don't know, I want to do what's safe. I have my parents telling me that I should just like come home and just play the safe route or do what they did. They project their thoughts onto you. There's no right way to do anything in the sense where how you're going to live your life. The people that lived before us or came before us, yes, they have wisdom, which you can only achieve with time, but they also have a certain perspective as to how certain things were done 20 to 30, 40 years ago. It's way different now. Yes, you should listen to your parents in some regards, but you also have to take certain things with a grain of salt, knowing that they just have different outlooks on things. And like the worst thing that you can do is allow someone to totally project their outlook onto like what you should do and what you and how you live your life, because it's your life and we're not here for that long. So you need to make the best of it however you can and just keep moving forward at all costs.
Man, you're getting me fired up.
Yeah, I actually am a bit fired up, man. Damn.
I love this. You're so intellectual, brother.
I appreciate that.
That's amazing.
I don't feel I can have conversations like this very often.
Yeah.
It's only with friends in certain environments where we're not busy or we don't have other bullshit surface level shit to talk about. I don't have many moments where I can just like speak from the heart or speak about like real shit.
Things that are,
you know what I mean?
important to you or valuable to you.
Yeah, exactly. Because I mean, it's not something that is like a sexy thing to talk about. You know what I mean? And I think the most rewarding things in this world, or the most rewarding things to really engulf yourself in, are the unsexy topics to talk about, because the most sexy things everyone's trying to aspire to be like, or everyone's trying to chase it. So there's more competition there, and the people who hold said power or said leverage in those positions of power, they're just squeezing everyone for what it's worth, and they're just trying to make the most out of their position of power and trying to capitalize off of the people trying to get in. That's why you have people that are running these self-help industries or these get-rich-quick industries. They're not the ones that actually did it themselves. They figured out a way to sell the aspiration, to sell the vision towards something that people see as aspirational or sexy.
Yeah. What were you studying in college?
Marketing.
Okay.
I was going for marketing because my freshman year of college, I didn't take my classes as seriously, and I dropped the ball in terms of my GPA. So like I wanted to get into like the highest level of finance at Penn State, and because I fucked off, I wasn't able to reach that GPA. So then I went to accounting, and I hated accounting. Even though I'm doing accounting now, like, you have to be the master of your finances, and you have to. But I'm learning it much easier now because it's so like it's like so applicable to what I'm doing, and like I can see it and I can visualize it. When you're just sitting in a course, a lot of times they don't. The people teaching it, they haven't actually done it at a high level. So the way that they teach it, it's hard for someone who thinks in different ways for it to resonate with them. You know, because school teaches you one thing a certain way depending on the school, but not everyone learns in the same ways. Some people have to learn by actually doing it, me being one of those people. So like I know for a fact I've learned so much more in the past, like even the past year of working on Worker versus the past year and a half of working with somebody else, and the past 3 years of going to university learning marketing, which everyone who's like very involved in marketing understands that the most effective marketing, you have to have the highest level or the cutting edge level of or understanding of marketing. The classes that I was taking were telling me about billboards on brick and mortar stores and how marketing was done 20, 30 years ago. That just doesn't really apply now. Or it's more so conceptual rather than practice related. And the best way to learn is just fully immerse yourself within that field, but you're actually doing the shit.
Yeah, I like that. That is.
Has there been any kind of majorly or standout influential people in your life? Whether it was marketing related or not, maybe it's
life related.
Joey was one of them. My coach, Joey Flex, he was one of them. Yeah. He was one of the first people that I related to where he has a very unorthodox way of operating, but he's very high functioning and he's a very successful person. I think he's one of the first people I connected with on a level beyond just like powerlifting within this space. And I've learned a lot from him and I'm very grateful for him. A lot of certain people just within the space, within fashion, I look to for certain, I don't know, like I might take like an inspiration of like discipline from one person or like an understanding of someone who does fashion at a higher level from another person. It really just depends. But yeah, I mean, I try to think that the product of who I am now is a result of multiple different influences kind of just like coming together.
Yeah. We often find as well, like being the average of the people that you are spending the most time around and the people in your close circle, and even just being around you for this little trip, it seems as though you have a great support community around you, all of the people that are here with you over this trip.
And I think the people that you're around is everything. Yeah. And it's a fine line, or it's a dance between, not a fine line, more so just you have to be able to discern between, okay, are the people around you just do they just say everything's great when it's not? Or do you have real people around you who are going to check you or tell you something that you don't want to hear and keep you in place where they expect more out of you, you know? Like I kind of went into like a period in the birthplace of Worker, I kind of went into a period of self-isolation where like I rebranded myself through social media. I changed a lot of the stuff about the way I posted, or just like really kind of just rebranded my image. And I self-isolated and I stopped going to the gym that I was going to before it even shut down, because there was just certain energies or certain things that had kind of seeped their way into that space that really fucked up the dynamic and kind of just ruined everything. Yeah. You know, like a lot of people think that certain things ended because of particular reasons, but like if you were there and you understand the dynamic or the ecosystem and how things changed over time, you understand certain people understand really why things went to zero. Yeah. So yeah, just really withdrawing myself from a certain atmosphere and only surrounding yourself with people that are going to, one, they have your best interest in hand, two, they're going to keep it real with you, and three, they strive for excellence in whichever field they pursue. And it kind of just, it's like a rising tide raises all ships, right? Mm-hmm. I really think you are a product of your environment, to the upside and the downside. It can go both ways. Mm-hmm. Selectively placing yourself in environments that are going to be conducive conducive to your success and your own growth, I think is one of the most important things that anyone can do. And that can start with changing the friend group that you hang around, changing the gym that you go to, moving out of your hometown. Mm-hmm. It's just all those things, because it's just really that small town mindset or mentality where that applies to everything, where people from within a certain ecosystem or an atmosphere or a town, whatever that may be, it's limiting in the way that they speak, in the way that they think, in the way that they view the world. Yeah. So I think that's why it's so popular for people to move to bigger cities, because it changes your perspective. It changes the way that you talk, the way that you operate, how you spend your time, the people that you associate with. It's all about just, through time, elevating the frequency at which you operate higher and higher. That's what I would say.
Yeah.
You're dropping keys everywhere. You're throwing them all around the place.
Because I don't talk about this stuff often, and most people on social media, they just see a guy in a hat lifting weights, right? With a meaty cover grade. Yeah. And I don't talk about real shit like this, because I feel oftentimes most people don't care to hear it. They just want to shut up and lift, right? But I mean, I every now and then I do try to just give my 2 cents on just different perspectives. Or I'm 23. Yeah. I think I know a good amount for being at 23. I understand that I lack wisdom as well. But like I would like to be able to convey or transfer any value that I can within. I'm just a prisoner of my circumstance right now. Like I don't understand everything, and I know that I only have a certain amount of experiences that lead to me only knowing a certain amount. Yeah. I just try to be able to relay what I do know to a certain extent to other people as well, because I just want to be the person that I needed. I want to be for myself the person that I needed when I was younger.
Love that. We're doing our best right now.
Yeah. Yeah. So as you're saying there, you may be somewhat limited in wisdom if we listen to the last however long we've been talking. I'd say we're definitely not lacking in any wisdom around here. If you could condense some of the most like valuable lessons you've learned over the recent years, just like see you're in an elevator, you're trying to just throw out some snappy bits of information
to 19-year-old Wheeze.
Yeah. What would you say?
I would say that every day is a new chance. And that sounds very like, yeah, obviously every day is a new chance. But when you really think about it, your past self, your past habits, your past thoughts, they do not define you, who you're going to be forever, and who you can evolve to eventually become. You can always change, you can always evolve, you can always change the way that you think, change the way that you speak, change who you're around. Change the way that you eat, change the way that you recover, change the way that you spend your time, change the content that you consume. All of that is up to you. So the people that give the excuse of, oh, I've always been this way, or oh, it's just the way that I am, it's bullshit. It's bullshit because you're the one who's in the most control of your life. And if people want to live with that idea or just that cope of, oh, it's just the way that I've always been, I can't change it. They want to use trauma as an excuse as to why they can't do certain things. Like you can sit there and cry about it all you want, but nothing's going to change your outcome or your circumstance or your environment other than you just like taking life by like
grab it by
the horns and do what you need to do.
Have you ever heard of or listened to the book The Courage to Be Disliked? Because I've heard of it. Is that the main theme? That is one of the I only listened to it recently. That's exactly one of the themes. Literally everything you said there, I was like, this guy is he's reading the book.
Yeah, I mean a lot of books they teach the same lessons, they just frame it in different ways.
Yeah.
And a lot of the best books too. If you read a lot of business books, a lot of them touch upon the same things. Perhaps like the same philosophies in slightly different fonts or different visualizers or different experiences. But I mean, it's just more so the fact that I heard that and it wasn't even from that book. The fact that you came upon that on your own ties back to earlier. That should be a reassurance to you that the fact that this many people are adopt this belief or writing these in books and articulating this as like something that is of value, that should give you reassurance.
It's the right path. Damn. Yeah. So we've talked about the business side of things, that direction. How I first got to know you was through the gym. What role does the gym still play in your life at the moment?
So every day, I mean, this is a business as usual day. Like when I'm just like in Houston and I'm able to wake up in my bed every morning, do the same thing every single day in terms of like my routine. Yeah. Obviously not now, this doesn't apply, but I really try not to be asleep any later than 9 a.m. and I try to be up no later out of bed than 4:15 a.m. And I try to be at the gym by 7 a.m. or by 5 a.m. I try to be at the gym, taking my first warm-ups at 5 a.m. and then walking out of the gym no later than 6:30 to 7:30 a.m. Sometimes I might run on a little bit later depending on, because all my friends train together and because my friend is building a gym right now, I understand that it's one of these nostalgic periods of time which I'm always going to reflect upon back. So if I allow myself to stay an extra 15, 30, 45 minutes, I understand that 1 years from now, I'm never going to regret spending that extra time because of the fact that there's no better feeling building something with people that you love. Yeah. But then 2, I understand that that's also going to be my social time for the day, and that everything after that, aside from maybe like an hour to like an hour and 30 before I go to bed, like when I'm like talking to my girl or whatever, that like everything I'm doing between those periods, it's solely for like business and that I'm moving the needle forward. And like my eating, like I have that all timed out and planned out and like how I go about everything. And I try to just eliminate as much decision fatigue in my day to day at the same time, eating the same thing every day, going to sleep at the same time every day, training at the same time every day, working at the same times every day, talking to the same people every day. Having everything planned out and not having to think, okay, when am I going to do this? When am I going to do that? It allows you to just like, I just, for the next 3 to 5 years, I want to be like a robot in what I do and how I move. And it allows me to be robotic and just like certain functions are just automatic. So yeah, I mean, I'm still going to the gym. I was able to hit 890 kilos in my last competition, which I mean, like I wanted to hit 2K and I've been not wanting to cut until I hit a 2K total. but like I'm just at the point where I think it's impeding my quality of life more than it's improving it. So like, yeah, I'm just gonna slowly diet down to like 105 kilos, maybe 100 kilos, and just have fun with lifting then, do a meet once or twice a year then. But I understand that if you cannot be the best lifter, like you have to figure out a livelihood for yourself if you're going to be within this space. A lot of people end up being coaches. A lot of people end up being videographers. A lot of people end up being business owners, or they're sponsored athletes where they're the top echelon of the cream of the crop within that space, where they can go hit a world record and win 30,000 pounds or whatever it is. You know what I mean? Like when I know that I got to go against Rondell and Bob, who are just like genetically, they're just on another level, and everything they do every day is just catered towards being the best athlete. I have an understanding that my strengths, yes, I came up within this space, but I can transition it to more of like a business role where I can still take on the representation of people who are going to be those front running people, you know, like a Nonso or someone like that. I can put an engine behind them and help them get from point A to point B and support them and put them in the spotlight. But I think my strengths reside in something just beyond being an athlete. So yeah, I mean, I'm still training. I still care about training. I'm still eating right. I'm still sleeping right. All that stuff. I'm always still trying to constantly improve myself mentally, emotionally, and physically. But do I care about, okay, do I have to SBD the highest tomorrow? Do I have to clear off my entire schedule so I can go hit a big week 4? Not necessarily. I'm still going to try to PR the total whenever I can. You know, I'm still going to train. I'm still going to be the best athlete I can. That's conducive to what my goals and where I need to get to.
Man, everything you're saying, it's giving me like, I'd love to explore this topic. I'd love to explore this topic. Man, I think we could talk here for like 6 hours. Okay, we're not gonna do that. But there's so many things I'd love to explore your thoughts and ideas on. Yeah. You touched on a little bit. The first thing that I picked up on was that the body weight that you're sitting at now was impeding on the quality of life a little bit.
Yeah.
In what way is that?
I mean, like, I'm 6 foot, you know, I'm naturally tall, and I understand within the sport, if you want to be the best within the weight class, you have to fill out your frame, right? I don't like having to wake up every morning and instead of just sitting out of bed, I gotta swing my leg out of bed. I don't like having to do that shit. You know what I mean? Like, goddamn, right?
Why have I never heard anyone say that?
I know we can all relate to that in one way or another. I don't like having to do that. You know what I mean? So like, I just think I would like to just like, I mean, I have really good ab genetics, but like I want to cut down, I want to get lean, I want to see all my veins, I want to have a sharp jawline, I want to like look good, I want to feel good, you know? And if I can do that while maintaining a business at the highest level, and I can still hit the big 3 and put up mid to high 800s, I'm going to do that any day of the week versus selling my soul for a 930 or a 940 when like I'm going against kids that are just drinking my protein every day, chilling in the crib, doing a couple classes and pulling 881. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on.
Man, you're speaking my language. Every time you're talking, I'm like, is this guy in my brain? Is he me? Like, is there like an alternate reality?
We just relate, you know?
Yeah, that's incredible. Oh my God.
It's peculiarly similar though.
Yeah.
It's strange.
Well, I mean, think about it. We're both within the space. We're both trying to operate a business in one form or fashion. I think we have a lot to relate upon, just besides us being like a part. You know, you're over here in Ireland, I'm in the US. But I mean, shared experiences are shared experiences. You know.
Here's actually something I meant to say this to you last year when I met you first. You're the reason I signed up with Joey.
Really?
You are the reason that I signed up with Joey. Yeah.
Damn.
I remember seeing you online on Instagram. I don't know. You might have been in like a home gym. I can't remember. You were like.
It was probably during my basement during quarantine.
Yeah,
because that's when I first saw you.
So you were lifting in these weights, and you're like, man, you're like Darth Vader. You're like Anakin Skywalker. That was the vibe I got. Okay.
Yeah, I always loved the Anakin audios and shit.
Yeah.
So I remember that, and I was like, oh shit, this guy is kind of like me. He has a similar enough frame to me.
Same age.
He's same age as me. Like, I can. If Joey can make this guy so strong. Fuck, Joey could make me. Joey could make me kind of that strong.
Yeah, bro.
So I was like, and almost, I'd say, within the month, I reached out to Joey and I signed up with him. And I've been with him for coming up on 6 years, I'd say.
Yeah, you started with him when you were a 93, right?
Yeah, sir.
Yeah. And it's beautiful because, I mean, one thing leads to another, and now we're both sitting right here. It's crazy, right? Yeah. Crazy how time works.
Man, I wonder where we'll be in another couple of years. We have to run it back. Okay,
we'll have to run it back.
We're gonna have to run this back in Texas.
We'll run it back. We'll run it back in like 2, 4, 5, 10 years or whatever, and we'll see how things change. Time's the greatest revealer. Time tells all.
I better be wearing my goddamn worker.
Yeah,
because seriously,
we're gonna work on that. We're gonna work on that.
Oh, I'm getting straight, man. As soon as this is over, I'm buying that hoodie. I'm buying that. I'm buying everything. Whatever's in that new drop.
I want that big grey hoodie with the pockets on it.
Yeah, the pockets are tough. It's my favorite part of the hoodie. This one doesn't have them. It's a lighter GSM of cotton, but I mean, we're like our best selling item is our utility hoodies by far. People love them. Nonso loves it.
Yeah,
it's super thick, super heavy, super high quality, super nice wash, super nice construction to it. And people within this space, they're not really producing pieces like that. You know, they're just not. It's more so about just something that is going to be cheap to produce and you know, sell it for like a middle of the pack price point. But I mean, I really take pride in the products that we release, and I'm very passionate about what we do. So that's why I take it of the utmost seriousness.
Brother, this is like.
I'm gonna watch this one back.
This might be one of the ones that I actually do watch back. Any sort of videos that I can hear myself. I never listen to. I just don't like to. I don't like to like consume my own content. You know, I just like to produce it. But my entire life I've been very insecure about my voice and my speech impediment. But I mean, like, part of growing up is just understanding, you know, who you are and accepting who you are, and just, I mean, you can't change it. You can't change who you are, you know, to a certain extent. I know I talked about reinventing yourself, but certain intangibles like that, you can't replace, you know? So, I mean, I don't know. I've just never been one to, I'll review my own content to make sure it's good enough from a consumer standpoint to post, but podcasts, I feel, never have went beyond the surface to even get to that point in which I'd care to do that. But I feel like this one was a really good one, and we talked about a lot of real shit. And yeah, I mean, I would want my 19-year-old self to listen to this. So I mean, I'll listen to it now.
I like meeting people that I know my 19-year-old self would have been appreciative to hear from as well.
And that's what life's all about. Meeting people, or surrounding yourself with people that you yourself now, but also that younger version of yourself that they needed. You know, be the person always strive to be the person that you needed when you were younger. Be that adult figure. Be that man who was going to guide that younger self to ultimately become who you are now. Always try to think, who was the max prestige version of myself that I need to be now, 5 years down the line, 10 years down the line, tomorrow, to just constantly become better for yourself, become better for others, become better for your younger self.
Yeah, one of the things we say a lot is be the change that you want to see.
That's the same. It's the exact same concept, just a different font, like we talked about earlier.
So I'm really interested in what you just touched on there. When did you find, like, was there an inflection point where you found that you did start becoming more comfortable in putting yourself out there, accepting those parts of yourself that maybe you did have insecurity around?
Yeah.
How did that journey progress?
I think in high school, I was middle school and high school, I got picked on a little bit, so I was always naturally insecure in that facet. I think coming up through social media, it exacerbated the problem a little bit worse, because I was very hyper analytical of myself, and it resulted in some of like that negative ego transpiring to mask for that insecurity beyond the surface. Yeah. I think it was when I had this cathartic moment around Q4 of 2023, when I lost my livelihood at the time, and when I went from like being at the top of the world to like absolute zero, where I kind of had to like look inward and think to myself, who is the person that I am deep down? Who do I want to become? How can I change the way that I've been in the past to be better for the future? And it was, I think to come to a moment like that, a cathartic moment, you really have to experience the lowest lows. And that is, and that's something that will resonate with you or really stay with you for the rest of your life, because one of the rules that we acknowledge within workers, you always remain even-headed through the highs and lows in your entire life, because you understand when you're at your lowest that things will get better, but you also understand when you're at your highest what it felt like to be in those lows, and that if you let your head get too big for yourself, or you let things go too far astray from what initially got you to that point, that you can find yourself right back in that position again. So it's always maintaining that level of neutrality or stoicism through it all, and really just understanding that everything is a gift, to not take anything for granted, and anything can be taken from you within the snap of the fingers.
This is so. I'm loving this because this trip we have recorded a number of like lengthy podcasts and just chatting with people and getting to know people, and this is like 4 or 5 that we've done that may go like they've gone close to 2 hours. And then we have an equivalent length of time, 2 to 3 hours afterwards off record, where we explore these ideas even more. And one of the most like common things that we've come to is the topic of like insecurity and vulnerability, and how it's such a universal theme that we all go through, but we often hide it. Like, it is a taboo thing. It's not a sexy topic to talk about.
Exactly that.
But when you do explore it, like, we have had some of the most fascinating, like, heartwarming, like, bonds form through those lengthy conversations. And I know for myself, some of the most beneficial times are when I see someone that I respect or look up to show their vulnerabilities and show the things that they are insecure about. And then I'm like, oh shit, that's stuff that I'm experiencing. And then again, it is reassuring, it's resonating with me. So the fact that, yeah, we can dive into that and explore it a little bit, I think it's incredibly valuable. And I appreciate when we can have these kind of conversations. I think that it's almost like one of the most important conversations for us to have, exploring those things that we are insecure about, because
I mean, we're all human, dude. We're all human.
Yeah.
We all go through similar things, no matter what you do, where you are, wherever you work, whatever your day-to-day consists of. There's commonalities in us all, you know. And it's like you said, it's not sexy to talk about, but it's almost a bit refreshing or just a bit relieving when you do have that moment, because it just kind of brings you back. Obviously, we understand and we know, no shit, everyone's human, but it kind of like recenters you a bit, and it's like, you know, like maybe these problems that I deal with on my own, maybe they're not as catastrophic as which I once thought, or maybe, you know, the thing that I'm dealing with, perhaps like it can be bigger than me, and it's not something that is solely exclusive to me. So perhaps I should give myself a bit more grace.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
What is something that you appreciate about yourself, or you're proud of about yourself?
I try to when I talk about like being proud, I don't really like self-gratification, or I try not to allow external gratification, or maybe gratification is the wrong word. Perhaps, essentially, when people like tell you what's good about you, what's that word again?
Praise? A praise?
Praise, yeah. I'm very reluctant to accept praise from other people at this point in my life, because of the fact that sometimes people just blow smoke up your ass. Yeah. And sometimes they do it because they want something from you. Because a lot of people in this world, things are transactional. So people will tell you sometimes, a lot of times, what they want you to hear, rather than like what reality is. So I really try not to let praise from anything get to my head at all. And I try to just like maintain in the state, or just remain in the now. The Power of Now is another good book you should read. Yep. Maintain in the power of now. Acknowledge where you once were, acknowledge where you are now, but there's a fine line between being so focused on where you want to go, kind of like what I said earlier. You need to be able to maintain your presence within the now and appreciate that for what it is, which is why I never and because I'm so forward focused, and so it's like paradoxical. Like I'm saying right now that it's better to be present, but also be forward focused. But I know I'm way too more forward focused than I am present. I know that about myself, and it's something I'm actively trying to be better about. And I'm saying right now that I don't like I don't like praise or self gratification, or that's not even the right word, but I think you know what I'm saying. Yeah. But like, it's just one of those things that about myself that I can't do. But if I were to say there's one thing that I am proud about myself, I'm just proud that I never gave up. I'm proud that I never gave up. And I always just found a way to just keep moving forward no matter what. I've said keep moving forward for years, but like, I don't really think, I always said it, but I never really understood what that meant until I experienced my lowest lows. And to like really like get up every single day when all you want to do is just rot in bed and not move, and your body and your mind is screaming at you to get up off the pillow, to go make breakfast or to go get in the shower, but like, you know, your mind doesn't want you to do it, and just those conflicting two things, they make you just feel worse and worse, and they just perpetuate the problem. You have to create that reason to get up in the morning, and you have to create that reason to just be forward focused and to just keep going, you know? Like, if you just have that small voice in your head that whenever you're down, whether that be your own voice or the voice from a mentor, like for me with Joey, or other figures from the past that I've praised, or not praised, but like respected or looked up to, just having that voice in your head. You can never ignore that little voice in the back of your head that's telling you what you really need to do. So yeah, I'm proud of myself for not giving up, because with that situation in particular, and then just other situations that I've experienced, I'm certain a lot of people wouldn't have come across the other side of it. So I know that once, as things have progressed so far, and as we hit different milestones, I don't feel anything in the moment, because it's not where I want to be, and I know that I need to get back to where I know where I want to go, and I know that I have it within me, and I know I have the ability to change to achieve said milestones. And when I achieved every single milestone of 2024 that I set with Worker and with myself, when I achieved all of them, it's more so just like, I see the train coming down the tracks. I see it. As it's getting closer, it's becoming more normal. The train's here. It's right in front of me. It's in the past now. I don't think or feel anything about it, you know? But I wouldn't have been able to do that if I just didn't keep moving forward, and that's what you have to do.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like perseverance, that's the word that comes to mind. And as you were talking, it reminded me, and we don't have to talk too much about it, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about it.
But there was a situation where you were ill. There was I can't remember exactly what it was, but I remember your training and everything suffered for a little while.
Yeah, so there was a time, this is what I'll say about it, there was a time in 2023 towards September to November, even December, where everyone got let go from a position without actually know that they were being let go. So they were all led on to think certain things, and then there were certain things said publicly to paint a narrative or a picture that weren't accurate. Everyone who was involved knows the truth and knows what it is. And then at the same time, one of my closest people to me betrayed me with like a woman that I was dealing with in the past. And then on top of that, my parents were getting divorced, which I'm not gonna cry about it. People's parents get divorced, whatever. Then at the same time, I was dealing with a lot of mental turmoil at the time due to just things in the past that had happened. And then on top of that, I was diagnosed with a condition called achalasia, which means that all of the nerves in your esophagus are paralyzed and they don't work. And it's a terminal condition where like it'll just happen randomly, either genetically or by probability. Sometimes it'll happen after a sickness. And essentially like your esophagus doesn't work as normal. So every time you need to eat or drink, or whenever you need to eat something, you always need to be washing it down or chasing it with like a water or something, which results in me getting full as twice as quickly and it taking me as twice as long to eat as like a normal person. So when I do that, and then my identity at the time was so heavily dictated upon my performance in the gym, and then on top of that, like my work related situation is like going underwater, and then on top of that, there's a bunch of people within this gym atmosphere that are around that are just like fake and not there for the right reasons, and they're just trying to gain off of others. The storm of all these different things like just like really fucked me up. And I started going to therapy and everything, and that helped to an extent. I eventually had to stop going to therapy because one of the things with therapy is that it's so problem oriented, or I mean obviously it's their job, but they're always trying to like uncover like, okay, what's wrong or what's bad right now. I eventually reached a certain point after probably around like 4, 5, 6 months of therapy that I feel like I worked through, I sorted out many different things, and I no longer needed it. And everything that everything else that I needed to sort through, I could just do it on my own. And that's what I've been doing. So I don't regret anything that I did from the past. But yeah, I mean, there was a time period from like mid-August to like mid-November, when I eventually left and started doing my own thing, that I would wake up and I would cry every single day. Because like, when you feel like you're trapped in a circumstance, or you're trapped in like just a situation in your life where it's just like 5, 6, 7, 8 different things, and you feel like these like shackles on you that are like invisible, and you feel like it's never gonna get better, and you're never gonna escape it, and you don't think you're ever gonna hit a PR ever again. You don't know what you're gonna do with your life, all these different things, and then you're dealing with like a back injury at the same time that hasn't gone away, and then like everyone around you is training and getting stronger, but you're not, and like that's very frustrating as is. Like that's one of the biggest things where like with Worker, with like one of the principles or commandments we put out, like I talked about earlier, just remaining even-headed through those highs and lows, because like all those rules that I created with Worker, like yes, we sell clothing, but I really try to, like the biggest thing is like I try to sell like a mentality or a lifestyle to live by, because there's a million different clothing brands out there, but like what are you going to do beyond just selling clothes to deliver value with people? How are you going to make people's lives better? You can go, like it's a pair of sweatpants, it's a fucking hoodie. Who cares in the grand scheme of things? There's millions of clothing brands out there. I try to leave an intangible with people that I needed for myself during that period of time, that I can always look back upon, and no matter how short or far things go in regards to Worker or any other aspect of my life, I will always return to these set of 10 principles that I could always look back upon and always hold myself to.
Wow.
I appreciate you sharing all that.
That is, and that has definitely revealed like the source of the passion that is being put into Worker, and you can feel it. Like you can absolutely feel that within the brand, even the marketing that you have for it, the text that goes along with what you're putting out.
It makes sense a little bit more now.
It makes sense, and it resonates. Like, brother, you got me. Yeah. You're pulling on my heartstrings like that. I'm all in on Worker now, bro.
I mean, it's just I can't fake this shit, you know. And like, just like you said earlier, passion is one of those things. Like, I wake up every day and I get the fuel I need for the rest of my life because of personal experience and what certain things I went through with my life. Like, I have everything I need now, and I just need time. So that's why I say we'll see where everyone is in 5-10 years.
And I think it's so impressive to see how you have picked yourself up when you were going through such difficult experiences, and the place that you're at now, and the track that you are on, and the potential that lies ahead. That's really admirable. That's I almost can't even take the feelings that I'm experiencing. I can't even really put the words onto them. But
that's one of the interesting things about language, is that there's not always a way to describe certain things. Like, there's certain things in many Asian languages that don't have a direct English translation, because of the fact that language is one of those. Language is limiting. Yeah. You know, if you could like directly like translate or like send a thought or a feeling to someone, that's more of like something that can be, it's more perceivable than words where they can be misinterpreted or perceived differently. You mentioned
like sort of like in Asian cultures, the languages. Do you watch anime?
Yeah, I love animes. Jujutsu Kaisen being my favorite. I haven't watched a new anime though in a minute, because I feel like all the classic ones like Naruto, Attack on Titan, Jujutsu Kaisen, many of like the stereotypical ones that everyone knows about, I've seen most of them. And like I don't, man, I wish I could just sit around all day and just watch binge episodes of the series anyway. And I've tried, but like my mind and body don't allow me. They don't allow me to just like spend 2 to 3 hours a day just watching dumb shit.
Yeah, there definitely seems to be this correlation in
successful
people consuming a lot of anime, and we talked again a little bit about it with Reagan. I think it's just a vessel of expressing these ideas. As you mentioned, there's not always the words, but they explore these human experiences. For whatever human experience possible, there is this extremely elaborate story to convey it.
Yeah.
Because I've not watched a single episode of anything.
You
But
haven't?
brother, after this trip, I'm in.
Yeah,
Someone showed me Erwin's speech from.
But here's the thing.
My soldiers, right?
That's what I'm saying. But the thing is, dude, you don't even like it might hit hard for you now, but like it's gonna hit that much harder when you have actually watched the show and you understand the context. That's why that motherfucker Reagan's so strong, because he's watching all these goddamn shows. Shout out to Reagan.
But then even that ties back a little bit into the stories that we just explored a little bit. The context to it makes your message hit so much harder for me now, and the brand, the identity with Worker, this is cool.
Life is the greatest teacher, man. And there's nothing that'll teach you more than just getting slapped down in every single facet of your life.
Yeah.
And what are you gonna do? You're gonna give up or you're gonna work? It's up to you.
Yeah.
I don't mean to get dark on us and everything.
That's not dark at
but,
all.
like,
That's the
That's
most
life.
optimistic.
Yeah.
it's life. It's life, and that's really what that's really where like Worker's dark aesthetic came from. Because like when I came up with the initial concepts for the designs and the aesthetic, like I was like really in like a mentally dark place. Like I'm chilling now. I still probably got some unhealed traumas, self-admittedly, but like I was much worse off a year ago to like a year and 3 months ago, 6 months ago, and like that's where like the aesthetic of Worker came to be. And like just with awakening this collection in particular, it's very different from anything that we've done in the past, where everyone sees that things are like so like dark and scary or like mysterious or whatever. But like with this one, we try to take on like a more lighter color palette, where not only is it a nod to the fact where I debuted the first ever Worker samples during my trip to London for last year's Sheffield, and the fact that the colors are based upon like the architecture of old London, so that we could return here and shoot it within that same setting. But it's more so just regarding and like even the graphic of the figure on the back of the hoodie and my t-shirt of the figure holding the light with like it's more so just like representing the self-belief or the self-courage to start that to have that initial moment or that initial awakening to create that path before you as to where you want to go. It was in London last year where Worker first ever gained attention, or the concept first ever picked up traction, where people were like, oh, what's this? This is different. Like two people that were working for another place, they kind of branched off and now they're doing their own thing. This is kind of like, it's really just a nod or like a testament to the return to where it all started, or where things initially began, which is why, like the neutral tones and the lighter earth tones are something that's different, and people, might not be, they're not used to it because we experience us releasing like all dark stuff, but just the meaning behind this collection goes way more than the designs or the design language or the color palette itself.
That makes it so much better though, doesn't it? It's
Yeah.
like it's not just a color palette.
That's what I'm saying. Like everything's very intense, or the way I think is that everything needs to, with clothing, everything needs to be done with utmost intention, where like you should be able to explain every reason why you do what you do, from the colors that you select, the design language in which you do, whether you're going to tie in a graphic or you're going to do minimalism or loud minimalism, or why are you going with an embroidery over a print, or why are you going to go with double layered over single layered, or why are you going to cinch the cuffs of the hems right here, or why are you going to go with a more spacious hoodie to allow for headphones as well, or why are you going to have a paracord cinch at the bottom of your pants so that you can wear it in a more relaxed lifestyle setting, or if you want to wear it in the gym too, you can have it up and out of the way, or you can stack it on top of a boot. Everything needs to be explainable. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And it's not just like, oh, we're just going to make a clothing brand. It's not just like that. You know what I mean? Like,
I'm sure there are plenty of people who do that, but not around.
Yeah, here. And shout out to those people, and I hope they really figure out what they're in for. Yeah. But like, if you want to make no, I'm being so real. I
hope you fucking find out, bro.
The thing is like with clothing is like you make the best people who do clothing. I'm not speaking to myself here. The people who do this at the highest level, they make it look easy. Yeah. But like that's what you're supposed to make it look easy, but by no means is it easy. They just see the finished product that's polished, and they just see what you present. But the magic or the gift is like hiding all the back end shit with it, and like still releasing a refined finished product.
Holy shit, brother! This you got me fired up, man. You got me into fashion. I only said this on the last podcast. I was like, I'm not like too fashionable of a guy. I don't like. I'm hanging around people who are super stylish. Man, you got me into it. I'm gonna start paying attention to this. You got me into anime. You got me into. I'm into fashion.
Well, we understand that a lot of people are, a lot of people aren't. You know, the way that we do our marketing and the way that we piece certain things together, we try to convey things in a way where it's like we make it very easily understandable to someone who perhaps isn't into fashion. That where it's like, okay, you can mix these pieces with these pieces, or these colors with these colors. Like, I try to reduce any amount of friction that a potential customer may have as to potential use cases for certain pieces or how to pull off certain pieces together. So maybe this collection, not so much across other pieces or other collections as well, because of the fact that this is a lighter collection. Perhaps some of these tones might work with some season 2 gray colorways, but because of the fact that we do primarily dark clothing, you can pretty seamlessly integrate pieces across all different collections together, and it'll still work. And like that's why aside from me mentally being in a very dark place when we created our season 1 collection, which was all black, and the conception of a lot of the earlier things from the brand, it was just like, it's very comfortable. Black is very comfortable. You know, it's hard to fuck up black. You know, if you buy black pieces across different brands, you can wear it together no problem if it makes sense. We try to just put out collections that are very easily palatable and digestible to the consumer, and you always have to keep those things in mind. You know, especially when you want to do this shit for a living, you have to have a high level understanding of said things.
Yeah. Well, I think you're doing a pretty good job with it, brother.
Very good job.
I appreciate it.
This has been a
fantastic
thoroughly insightful discussion.
Yeah.
We appreciate your time.
Yeah, I appreciate having you guys out. It's my first time meeting you, but
it's been lovely.
I saw you last year, and it was a great time. And I know that, you know, we don't speak often. We barely ever speak, but I know that whenever we do, it's always good vibes. It's always good energy, and I'm just appreciative I'm able to come here and share this moment of time with you guys. And I hope that if one person can watch this episode and take something away from it, and perhaps it changes the way that they think or makes their life better in any way, whether it's just one person, it was worth it for me to do it. And it was worth it for me to come to the UK.
What a message, brother. What a message. What a way to leave it off. Thank you so much for coming on. If you want to plug anything, where people can find you, where people can find the clothing, you can plug it now. And
for sure. Yeah, so the Instagram is just Wheeze, WHEEZE, and then the worker, the Instagram page is wkr.co, or the website is wkr.gg. We just fixed our fulfillment methods where you can shop anywhere in the world, worldwide, for 10 to 15 US dollars. So that's like what, like 10 to 15 euro, 10 to 15 pounds. It's within that range. It's nothing like you're shopping from the rest of the world, or from America to the rest of the world, where you're paying 30, 40 euro for whatever you're buying. We're making it affordable, and we're taking the cut out of our profits to be able to spread the identity of worker across the world. And I'm very happy to do that. And I have a job to do, man. I have a mission at hand, and nothing's going to get between me and that. And I just got to keep moving forward. And whatever you guys do, whether it be in the gym, whether it be in life, whether it be in personal relationships, self-development, just don't let anything get in the way of you and where you want to be or where you need to be. And just keep moving forward at all costs and keep working.
Beautiful.
I'm not going to add to that.
That's a wrap.